Evan Pasoko, Laura Lawson going to be in the production hauler, pushing the buttons and getting us on air tonight for 125 laps tonight in the Atlanta, Georgia. Going to be our first fixed setup race of the season. Again, 1 week ago, we got things kicked off at Daytona. That was an open set. So these races here and this season are going to be fluctuating back and forth between opened and fixed. So all these drivers are going to be out there with the exact same setup, exact same equipment as they roll now. For again, we're going to run you down through the starting grid. Going to get the first few of them out of the way. It is going to be Michael Churchma. He'll get pole position, a tie at the top of the scoring pylon, but Churchma will get it, the number 88 machine, with a 29.377. Don Stevenson, the exact same time. He'll be starting on the outside of the front row in the number 2 spot. Defending champion Nathan Sedlak got third last week in Daytona. Third on the starting grid here. He'll be starting the inside of that second row. The Berkey's going to be making up the next 2 spots. Gordon Berkey, the number 37, going to be in 4th. Colton Berkey, the 81, going to be in 5th. David Wink will be starting in P6. Dustin Lee, the inside row, number 4. The 50 machine, going to be starting in 7th. Dominic Dieball, 8th. George Bark, last week's winner, going to be 9th position inside on that 5th row. And Ryan Borges will round out the top 10, and we'll run you down through the rest of these trucks here if we get a caution in these opening stages. But the field is already doubled up behind the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car. Again, going to get set 125 laps on the board. Glad to have you with us on LSR TV. And the hype of Daytona has come and gone, and now these guys have to get set on 18 more races before we hit that championship, that chase cutoff, and then we race them down to decide who will be the champion. But here we go with Atlanta pace car down pit road, and the field is in the hands of Michael Churchma. Green flag flies. We are underway in Atlanta. Going to be side by side for the top spot because Don Stevenson got going. The number 47 Chevrolet, he is up top and outside of Michael Churchma. Down on the inside lane, Sedlak, the teammate of Don Stevenson, takes a look to the inside, catches him a break, and allows Don to get down in line. So the top 3 trucks will get single file down the back straightaway. Going to be side by side for 4th position. The 81 of Colton Berkey trying to get around the 37 of Gordon Berkey. Those 2 trucks going to be going at it now as we roll through 3 and 4 side by side behind them as well. The 20 machine and the 50 going to go at it. That's David Wink and Dustin Lee. And those 2 side-by-side battles continue down at a 1 and 2. Working lap 2 in contact between the 81 and the 37. The Berkey's getting together. Looks like it'll cause some right rear damage on the 81 of Colton Berkey. Nothing to the point that would immediately affect his truck. But definitely some right rear damage on that Traxxas Chevrolet. And the 81 machine of Colton, who took that damage, is still trying to get clear. He can't do it. Gordon Berkey going to hold a nose there and will stay side by side for the number 4 position. Top 3 remain single file. Churchma, Stevenson, and Sedlak are those trucks in that order, and they run pretty much bumper to bumper now down the back straightaway. Now the 81 machine of Colton Berkey, he'll get through and he'll get clear on the 37 to Gordon Berkey. So now Gordon has to hold off David Wink, who has gotten away from the side-by-side battle with Dustin Lee, and Wink is the next challenger. Him and that 37 to Gordon Berkey side-by-side, this time by the stripe. Lap 3 going to be in the books, and they continue to go at it. That will be for position number 5. Gordon Berkey had it at the stripe. The 20 machine of Wink keeps a nose there and is going to make it side-by-side once again through 1 and 2. Again, it's a cloudy, overcast skies here, so almost maximum grip settings here with this fixed setup. A lot of speed that these drivers can carry, never dropping really below 180 miles per hour in the turn. 20 car David Wink going to slide up in front of that 37 Gordon Berkey. Give the spot to David Wink. He will now enter the top 5, and right away Gordon Berkey has more company because Dominic Dieball has gone down to the inside. Top 4 trucks remain single file. This is the first battle in the running order, and the 15 has some support behind him. It's the 32 of Ryan Borges trying to find which lane he wants to go with. So not an easy start to this one for Gordon Berkey. The number 37 machine has a lot of traffic behind him because now last week's winner, George Bark, starting to creep into the picture here. They're going to be side by side now, 2 rows deep, 15 and 37, and then the 32 and the 42. Those are going to be battling for positions 6th through 9th. And another car going to join this one, Dustin Lee as well. So a 5-truck pack as the lead 5 have single filed out that second half of the top 10 running order right now, all scrunched together. And Gordon Berkey is going to be able to get clear of that 15. So the 37 CORA Chevrolet of Berkey will now hang on to the number 6 spot. He will get clear of what is still 2 wide, 2 rows deep. George Bark all of a sudden has got up into this mix and has already gotten to the outside of the 15 of Dominic Dyball. So George Bark trying to battle there for what would be position number 8. Borges still sits on the inside line behind the 15 of Dominic Dyball, and then that 50 of Dustin Lee up in the outside lane, kind of sliding back, no longer an immediate factor in this battle, which means Borges now returns to a single file running, but still side by side with George Bark and the 15 of Dominic Dyball, who's on the inside, and George Bark making up some significant ground. He started in 9th and again knocking on the door. He was 7th that last time by the stripe because he had the nose over Dominic Dyball, and a great battle so far here inside of the top 10. Top 5 still single file, but we're keeping an eye on, again, George Bark, Dominic Dyball. Don't want to keep talking about him, but been side by side now, and nobody has really shown, any weakness, and we haven't really seen one of these trucks get an advantage over one another. They've pretty much been locked on each other's door for the last 3-4 laps and continuing to battle there. And the 37 in front of them, I would have anticipated maybe Gordon Berkey to kind of run away with this once he got clear of that side-by-side battle, but those guys behind him utilizing that little bit of a draft that they're able to at such high speeds, and has really not pulled away. Actually, the side-by-side battle is closing in on him. Churchma still your leader up at the front of the field, and we once again go side by side behind this battle that we've been taking an eye on as Dustin Lee has stepped back out to the outside on the 32 machine of Ryan Borges. Again, a new face up into the mix. The 19 of Garrett Atwell is up here as well, along with the 51 of Nicholas Doucette. So a 6 truck pack now, and if you want to throw that 37 machine into it, 7 trucks separated by about half a second here, running from position 6th on back, and now 2 wide, 3 rows deep. A huge pack of trucks here, right out towards the tail end of these top 10 trucks, and a huge battle going on. We're single file in front of these guys, we're single file behind them, but also, it looks like we're still at Daytona with this pack, because still the 37 machine has started back now, and because of that, George Bark, who was on the outside, has kind of gotten stuck behind the 37 of Gordon Berkey, so that has allowed the 15 of Dominic Dyball to kind of drive up on the left-hand side, and he is actually now challenging Gordon for the number 6 spot, had him at the stripe. So you have all these side-by-side battles. Dyball is side-by-side with Gordon Berkey, Ryan Borges is side-by-side with George Bark, the 19 of Garrett Atwell side-by-side with the 50 of Dustin Lee, the 51 of Nick Doucette now back there by himself, Chad Wilson behind him, but still 2 wide, about 3 rows deep, and again, nobody really running away with this. And again, I said single file in front of this pack, or single file behind this pack, but these guys just don't want to get things sorted out. They're fighting hard for all these positions, and this is now a huge pack of race cars. The only thing that they're losing from this now is Dominic Dyball is going to get clear. The 37 of Gordon Berkey will get clear, so those 2 trucks will break away and get single file. That makes Borges versus Bark the first side-by-side battle, which I think is going to be for P8. The only issue with all this battling is the top 5 trucks, who I've said are running single file, have pulled away now 2.5 plus seconds on this big group of trucks, and this big group of trucks goes from about 18th position all the way up through 7th. So that's about 11 trucks separated by 1.2 seconds at 1.5 mile speedway. So this is very close racing. I talked about the fact that Berkey and Borges had, or rather Berkey and Borges was still going at it with George Bark, but Gordon Berkey, Dominic Dyball had gotten clear, and Dyball has set sail, and now trouble for Gordon Berkey. He's in the wall, ready to go 3 wide to get around him as he rides the outside retaining wall through the quad over there. Everybody's able to get through without incident. 37 back up to speed, just overdrove that corner exit, caught the fence at a 4, and was stuck up there on that 3rd lane. Everybody else was able to get around him. A couple of checking up, which is going to single file out the main side-by-side battle. So Borges is going to get it over George Bark. Then you have Garrett Atwell, Nick Doucette, the number 51 machine, trying to get it on the 2 of Chad Wilson. Wilson trying to move forward after losing a couple spots on the drop of the initial green flag. Looks like he may have some minor damage on the number 2 machine from those opening laps. And now side-by-side behind them, as again, these guys inside the top 10 have just figured things out. We're going to go side-by-side behind them. It is the 37 machine of Gordon Berkey trying to get some traction to get on this race after catching the fence not too long ago. And it is the 29 of Dylan Acker who is trying to get around him, but the inside. The 8 is also there behind them. That's Martin Porter. That is going to be the battle back here, and we'll get an update on that at the start-finish line. That will be the battle for P13. Berkey had the advantage at the stripe. And again, this is the kind of racing that you would come to expect and like to see when these guys are out here. Again, our first fixed setup race of the season. So unlike Daytona, where maybe you and your teammates, you were tested out your private setups there, and some people may have a little bit more of an advantage than some others. Here it's fixed set, so everybody's on the same truck. And once again, the 37 of Gordon Berkey just having varied issues in turn number 4. Overdrove it again. He'll slide all the way back to behind the 08 of Scott Bailey. That's P18. So a rough start here for Gordon Berkey. After qualifying 4th, he now finds himself nearly outside of the top 20. Turn 4 has been his Achilles heel here in these opening laps. And just for a moment, these guys up inside the top 10, the top 20 collectively are able to kind of catch their breaths, as we have pretty much been double file since the drop of the initial green flag. And the whole field, again, all these trucks still on the lead lap. Nobody with some severe issues. Last car on the lead lap, Tim Johnstone, was in the outside wall. He has some right-hand damage on his Chevrolet. He rides 34th and final truck on the racetrack right now. And for the moment, while we have single file, going to give you a full field rundown. We were unable to get you through all the trucks on the grid, so I want to let you know who's all in this race, where they run at the moment, as lap 20 is now in the works from race leader Michael Churchma. So Churchma's up at a number 1 spot. Don Stevenson in 2nd, Nathan Sedlak 3rd, Colton Berkey in 4th, David Winks at 5th, Dominic Dyball in 6th, Ryan Borges 7th, George Bark in 8th position, Garrett Atwell P9, Dustin Lee in 10th position, and Lee going to go side by side with Atwell for that number 9 spot. Nicholas Doucette in 11th, Chad Wilson 12th, Dylan Acker 13th, Martin Porter 14th, and that's a 3-wide battle actually off the corner, and it's going to be through the middle. Goes that number 02 machine, I want to say, of Mitchell Reeves. So Reeves going to take P14. The 8 of Martin Porter had 15th that last time by. He has company with the machine down on the inside. The 68 of Phil Gary was 16th, Scott Bailey 17th, Jeffrey Smith 18th, 19th is Scott Saunders, John Pansula will round out the top 20. Gordon Berkey now back to 21st. Brandon Monsive in 22nd. Patrick Stahiel in 23rd. Weston Campbell in 24th. Everett Lane 25th. Joel Wood 26th. Marcus Babb 27th. Jeremy Crandall 28th. James Brown 29th. Eric Sharp in 30th. And then you're going to have Mark McFadden, James Wilkins, Tim Johnstone, and Dale Atkins 31st through 34th respectively. And round out again this entire field. The side-by-side battle that I touched on with Garrett Atwell continues. It is the 19 Chevrolet on the inside lane trying to complete a pass on that machine in front of him. The 51 of Nicholas Doucette. Doucette had the advantage at the stripe and going to go side-by-side in front of them. Dustin Lee is on the move. He qualified 7th. Dropped back pretty significantly. He'll pick up another spot from David Wang, which will return Dustin Lee to 8th position. So that Chevrolet is completing his march back up to where he started after not having a good restart. Lost a couple of spots. He starts to nitpick his way back up through this field. Churchma still leads at the moment, but the 47 of Don Stevenson down the back, and now at the start-finish line. First lead change of the race. Don Stevenson to the point, and now Churchma finds himself stuck in between the two teammates of Don Stevenson and Nathan Sedlak, which are running right now P1 and P3 around him. Ryan Borges marred back at the pack at a number 32 machine. Also teammates with Stevenson and Sedlak, and Churchma may be under attack. A little bit of a shot to the left rear from Nathan Sedlak to Michael Churchma. They're able to hang on to that. That checks up Colton Berkey, but those top 4 have 2.4 seconds on the rest of the field from the start, and the battle continues to rage on just inside the top 10. The 29 car now on the move. Dylan Acker, P12 at the start-finish line to the inside of David Wink. He wants the number 9 position. The 20 going the wrong way on the outside lane, showing some right side damage on that. And now contact, the 29 going to slide up, get into the left front of the 20. And now David Wink is in the outside wall. And a corner number 4, he's able to hang on to it, but he's asked to get back up to speed. He will lose a lot of time. P15 at the stripe before David Wink is able to get back to the gas. So he's lost about 9 spots now from where he started up inside the top 10. Those top 4 trucks, though, have really dominated this race. They run single file at the moment. Pass going to go on for P2 as Sedlak down to the inside on that 88 machine of Churchma. Drag race at the start-finish line advantage is going to go to Michael Churchma, and that was a split that was less than to 3 decimal points. So that would have definitely been an interesting finish. So no advantage at the stripe, but it is going to be the number 35 of Sedlak at a 2. He will move up into the 2nd spot. Looks like Churchma sliding the wrong direction because now Colton Berkey going to go to the inside, and he wants to take that number 3 spot away from Sedlak here, or rather from Churchma there, as Sedlak has already gotten through and clear. So the 88 machine looked like he had to work harder there in those opening laps to be able to stay up in front of that tandem duo, those 2 teammates of Sedlak and Stevenson. Lap car on the apron. These guys going to be working around Dale Adkins as he has been what appears to be down pit road. The 95 was in for 4 tires and I guess some sort of repairs as he was running towards the tail end of the lead lap. And Weston Campbell running 2 laps down right now. The Rockstar Chevrolet entry had to come down pit road as well. He came in, took 4 tires, looked like he stayed in for a little bit of repairs and has left. And now an issue for the 26 machine of Marcus Babb. His Chevrolet has been disqualified. He is working some right-hand damage after qualifying up inside the top 20 with 16th position, and looks like that he has had some pretty severe connection issues. And again, the iRacing equivalency of a real-life race car, the fact that you can have mechanical gremlins, is the fact that you're relying on a constant connection to the sim, a constant connection to the internet to be able to race here. And it looked like there was some pretty severe blinking, and Marcus Babb, that would be where his truck just disappears on these other guys' screens. He can't keep that constant connection, so race control has disqualified him for the moment. So he's come down pit road. He is behind the wall, and I think that may be the end of his night, and race control now confirming that it is the severity. It's the severity of his blinking that has caused him to be disqualified from this race. So that is going to cause him to drop all the way to the back. He'll evidently take last position. Wes Campbell, Dale Adkins, still the only 2 trucks on track now that are off the lead lap. Both of them are 2 laps down. Tim Johnstone, last truck on the lead lap, so we have 31 trucks still on the lead lap right now. And Stevenson and Sedlak, those teammates, and I was just about to say they're starting to check out, but we got trouble. Caution flag to fly on the speedway. 1 car up into the outside retaining wall. It's John Pansula. Somebody else is going to be involved in that as well. Looks like it may be damage on Phil Gary as we slow down for caution here on lap 31. And it is going to be those 2. This starts back in corner number 2. We'll get the replay up for you on lap 31. Coming out of corner number 2, it looks like it starts with the 20 of David Wink. Wink tries to pinch down that truck on his inside, trying to pinch down the number 49 truck. As the replay goes up live now, 49 slides up a little bit, 20 in the fence, and comes down, hits the 68 of Phil Gary. Phil Gary spins, collects an innocent John Pansula. Both those trucks hit the wall. And Phil Gary, for a violent ride up and over multiple times, back into that truck, getting into the fencing down the back straightaway. And one truck had to literally go underneath that. The 54 of Brandon Cruz Monsive went directly underneath that truck, and not sure if he got any damage from it, but a close call nonetheless. And that's going to cause us to get our first stops of the race for our race leaders. Don Stevenson, Nathan Sedlak, going to lead down this field after those 2 teammates really started to check out after they got 25 laps into the run. So we'll have to see the strategy call and who can get out of pit lane first. Looks like 4 tires is going to be the primary call. Right side's up on those 2 Chevrolets. Left side's up as well. Advantage to Churchma for having a number 1 pit stall, but he was just too far back. It is going to be Stevenson. It is going to be Sedlak. And it is going to be the 51 machine going to be throwing the strategy call into it. I believe it is going to be Nicholas Doucette leaving pit road in 3rd. He was in a dead heat with the 81. I think it is going to be Nick Doucette. 2 tires only for the number 51 Chevrolet. So out of this first caution break, going to take the opportunity to step away and take a quick commercial break. You're watching the CORA Championship Online Racing Association, the Sunday Money Series on LSR TV. More racing from the Atlanta Motor Speedway on the other side. Back live here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway on LSR TV for the continuing coverage of the CORA Championship Online Racing Association Sunday Money Series. Tonight, race number 2, the SH&D Trucking 188 from Atlanta for race 2 on this most recent campaign. Working to fix that here and getting set for what's going to be a lap 36 restart in this 125 lap affair. So 90 laps will remain, and it is a change up in the number 3 position. The 51 of Nicholas Doucette on 2 tires. Pretty much everybody else going to be working a 4-tire call. The front row is going to be on 4. Those are 2 teammates, and they have been the dominant duo so far this race. Stevenson and Sedlak going to be making up the front row. Pace car gets set and now dives down to the safety of pit lane. The 47 car in control on the throttle, right in unison with his teammate. The green flag will fly from the flag stand. Back underway in Atlanta. We race them down into quarter number 1. No challenge for the top spot because Nathan Sedlak will dive in behind his teammate Don Stevenson. They're going to single file out inside the top 4, inside the top 10 for that matter, as George Bart going the wrong direction. The number 20 David Wink has gotten through and passed him, and 29 Dylan Ackert trying to do the same. Ackert goes to the inside, and that'll be right door to door. Bart tries to pinch that 29 machine down whenever he can. 29 slides up a little bit in 3 and 4, and they come off the quarter now pretty much neck and neck. Advantage to the 29 of Ackert at the start-finish line. That is going to be the battle for 10th. Side by side now up inside the top 10. The 19 of Garrett Atwell continuing to mount his charge toward the front after starting 13th, is trying to get 7th from Ryan Borges. Borges sliding back out of the outside lane. He uses that run at a 2 to his advantage and is about able to pull even with Atwell. Atwell in the new Motorsports entry down on the inside lane as they come at a quarter number 4, and Borges is trying to hang on to it, and we're hearing there may be a penalty being handed out to one of these drivers. Hearing it could be the number 49 of Scott Saunders, a penalty for changing lanes before the start-finish line. And so race control is announcing that he will have to take a pass-through penalty. Race control is going to double-check that on the tape, and we'll continue to listen in on their radios so that we can keep everybody posted on those black flag situations. But again, top 2 are single file because they're teammates. They're going to try to pull away from Nick Doucette. They had 2/10 the last time out, but the 51 Chevrolet is hanging in there pretty good for the 2-tire call. We'll have to see how that will affect him on the long run, but still side by side going at it. The 29 of Dylan Ackert, after starting 21st, he's so far our hard charger. He's moved up the P10. He just got 9th from David Wink. Wink going to go backwards on the outside lane and move Dylan Ackert up to a top 9 position. George Bart trying to get back inside the top 10. He restarted 8th, was 11th that time by the stripe. The 20 truck of Wink on the outside will have the sliding line behind him, so give George Bart back that top 10 position. 20 machine gives him a little bit of a shot to the back bumper there down the back straightaway, and then goes to the inside. So David Wink not giving it up at all. He has a nose to the quarter panel. Bart to get the run off of 4, and I would imagine him to clear, and he does. He'll pull in line and single that out with David Wink. The top 6 trucks now single file bumper to bumper as they go down through 1 and 2. Everybody inside the top 10, the top 20 for the moment have single filed out. We have some side-by-side back at about 26th position. We're 3 wide for 26th position. The one car that's going the wrong direction, trying to get a number on that. Just looks like the 5 machine possibly of Wes Campbell, who's a lap machine, just about got split by the 12 and the 01 of Tim Johnstone and John Pansula. So 3 wide back in the pack, single file up front, as Garrett Atwell is, remember, he got that number 7 spot from Borges. We talked about that about 2 laps ago. Borges wants it back. He took a look to the left rear quarter panel of Atwell down in 1 and 2, was unable to find anything there. Pulled back in line and now trails the back bumper of the 19 Chevrolet right in front of him. And again, just so close up front. The top 6 trucks separated by 0.5 of a second. Again, those are intervals that you'll see out at the super speedway tracks, the plate tracks, Daytona, like 1 week ago. The fixed setup and all these drivers getting as much as they can out of these race trucks is what is attributing to such a single file, such close, such tightly packed racing. One car going to step out of line, going to be the 88 of Michael Churchman down to the inside lane. He will force the 81 of Colton Berkey up to the top. So that's going to make it side-by-side for P5. This will kind of stunt the speed and the momentum of these last three trucks in line here. But Churchman to the bottom of the 81 really not making much of a challenge, not pinching the 88 down, but runs that high side. He's able to get a wicked run off the corner, and that will once again pull Colton Berkey back up nose to nose with Churchman, actually give him an advantage down into quarter number 3, and then duck back into the double file racing as they go back to 3 and 4. He went too high up into the outside wall. Colton Berkey overdrove it. The Traxxas Chevrolet hard into the outside wall. He kind of caught where that safer barrier juts out there on corner exit. That's some pretty hard right side damage. The side-by-side battle of Ryan Borges. Garrett Atwell going to come to the inside. Borges gets clear of that number 19 machine out of the corner, so move Atwell back one spot. The 81 still in this mix as he is on the outside lane. Borges will get clear of the 81 of Berkey. Looks like the 19 machine of Atwell will get clear of the 81 of Berkey as well. And now the 29 of Dylan Ackert attempting to do the same. That would move Dylan Ackert up to P8, about 13 positions. That would have given the 29 truck since the start of the race. And because of that incident, Michael Churchman does take P4. He's in behind the 51 of Nicholas Doucette and Dominic Dieball, the last truck in that lead draft pack of cars. 1.6 seconds plus out of it is where you will find Borges in 6th, Atwell in 7th. Colton Berkey, who was 8th at the last time by, is now going to go to the 29 of Ackert. So Ackert 8th, George Bark will get 9th. And evidently Colton Berkey going to go to the last spot inside of the top 10, already 2.1 seconds back. Only issue with that is the fact that if he does not get a caution here relatively soon, he will go way off pace, and if this thing goes all the way to the point that we say green flag pit stops, severely hurting his hopes at a solid finish here tonight. And one of the storylines of the race rolling into this one was the fact that when you're starting off your season, Daytona, yes, it does count for points, but everybody, you stray away, you maybe forget that, and you kind of focus more on the fact that it's Daytona, it's the season opener. Everybody's obviously going to want to get to victory lane in that one. You might kind of lose sight of the fact that you're racing for points. You roll into the second week, the high of Daytona has kind of faded off, and now you realize that it's time to get to work. And I'll tell you, those two teammates up at the front of the field are starting to pull. They've got about 3/10 now, almost 4 on Nicholas Doucette for second in between third as Stevenson and Sedlak. Those teammates continuing to ride each other's bumper. Great show of teamwork there as they ride P1 and 2. Their other teammate Ryan Borges is in 6th. Again, Atwell was able to get around him. Borges put the move back on Garrett Atwell to get the number 6 spot, which was for 7th, but again, the troubles that we have documented here for the 81 machine of Colton Berkey made that for P6. So Berkey continuing to slide back. He's able to hang on to 10th the last time by, and his lap times right now running 29.6. His leader's running 29.5. So that damage has costed him about a 10th a lap. And doesn't sound like a lot, but on a long green flag stretch at a racetrack, these 1.5s where they're running sub 29 second lap times, and especially again if we go green for an extended period of time, is nearly catastrophic with that kind of damage, because you're just not going to be competitive to any regard. Going to be side by side. How about P3? Nicholas Doucette again going backwards on the 2-tire call. Dominic Dieball, the number 15 machine, to the bottom, slides up in front of the 51 at a 2, clear. And give Dieball the number 3 spot after qualifying in 8th. Dominic's going to move back up again into the number 3 spot, but those top 2 trucks so strong as they run right now. And as we continue to work under the green flag and run you down through the last week's results real quick here. Didn't get a chance to do that from round 1, the WW Trucking 250 at Daytona International Speedway. George Bark was able to get home that win after starting 17th. He goes away with the trophy and the hardware. His teammate Jerry Crandall would come home second. That was a 20th place start for the number 73 team of Crandall. So they're able to translate that into a top 2 finish. And then last year's defending series champion Nathan Sedlak started 7th. He would come home with a 3rd place result. The number 35 truck, Jonathan Taylor in 4th. Mitchell Reeves would get 5th. Borges 6th. Don Stevenson 7th. Tim Johnstone in 8th. Joel Wood 9th. And Wes Campbell would be a top 10 car. But Tim Johnstone is the car, or rather the truck for that fact, as throughout this season we're going to be seeing a couple of different vehicles being used here. All these vehicles going to be having their own individual championships as well as the combined ones. But Tim Johnstone started 37th at Daytona. The number 12 machine, again, I said him there in the top 10, was able to come home with a top 8. So Tim Johnstone, the big mover in that race, and take a look for him right now, not moving the way he wants to be after qualifying in 26th. He rides 29th, second to last truck on the lead lap. So now we have Dominic Dyball in third. He's kind of in a little area of his own. He's about 4/10 back from the trucks in front of him. He's about 4/10 ahead of the truck behind him. Actually, the 88 machine at Churchman slow off the corner. Ryan Borges able to get around him. Looks like Churchman. Turn 4 has really been an issue point in this race. We've seen a couple of people show some struggling there out of that corner. The 88 of Churchman got slow, and here we now trouble the 5 machine. Weston Campbell over the radio trying to see what that is for. Hearing there may be some issues on the front straightaway. We got a wreck, and Mark McFadden is in this one at a quarter number 4. Another truck involved in it. Tim Johnstone, just talked about him. The number 12 machine overdrove it, caught the wall, came down into the number 48 machine right there at a quarter number 4. Mark McFadden going to be involved in that as well. Those two trucks spun through the grass. They were able to hang on to it for the most part. Johnstone actually came to a complete stop. He just now rolls into quarter number 1. No caution as that happened off of the racing surface. So we stay not clean, but we stay green. And throughout that last little stint, the number 15 of Dyball, who I said was kind of way back from our leaders, picks up 2/10 in one lap. He's right back up behind Don Stevenson for what would be second, side by side still with Michael Churchman. This is going to be the battle for I want to say 6, because Churchman has slid back. He allowed Borges to get around him. Now Atwell wants to get around him as well. Garrett Atwell to the bottom did not work, and Atwell's going to slide back and actually be forced to be on the inside of the 42 of George Bark. So they're actually going to be side by side, and 19 slides up, contact with George Bark. Bark to the outside, 88 to the bottom, puts the block on a 19 of Garrett Atwell, shuts the door on the bottom. George Bark to the outside lane, can't stay up there. 88 gets clear for the moment. A huge run from both Bark and 19, 3 wide at a quarter number 2. 88 in the middle, the 42 of George Bark up high is going to be clear by all of them halfway down the back straightaway. So give George Bark P6, the 19 of Atwell going to take 7th. The 88 is going backwards. The 29 of Dylan Acker to the inside and nearly through and clear. That's going to be for P9. So Churchman slides back to 9, give Ackert 8th, Garrett Atwell 7th, George Bark 6th. As they run right now, seeing a little bit of side-by-side battle. How about Everett Lane? And again, I want to take a quick moment to talk about the chase cutoff. And that's not really a factor, not really all that important at this point. But after the first 19 races on the season here, we're going to be going to the chase, the championship, and the top 12 are going to be the trucks, or rather the cars, the drivers that will advance. So out of 24 races, first 19 of them going to be the regular season. After that, going to be a 5-race chase for the championship. Race 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 will determine who will be our champion. And on that bubble right now, and again, it's essentially the order of the standings from last week, but Everett Lane is 11th. He's 6 points to the good on that bubble over Eric Sharp, who is 13th. He will be the first driver out. So Everett Lane started back 30th spot in the 5-minute, 2-lap apiece closed qualifier session, and was surprised to see that. He's up to 16th, so he's picked up about 14 spots, and I can guarantee you that Everett's going to be wanting to get more, as this will be halfway, and I will give you, again, another full field rundown as we continue to battle here, and good, hard, clean racing so far in Atlanta. A lot of side-by-side. The 19 trouble. Garrett Atwell going the wrong direction. He nailed the wall at a quarter number 4, went down low. He lost a handful of spots. He'll drop in behind the number 50 of Dustin Lee. That'll cycle him back to at least 10 after he was up there, 6th, 7th position with George Bark, Doucette, and Borges not too long ago. A hard lick for the 19 of Garrett Atwell. Is going to knock him off pace. Very similar to what we saw happen earlier on in this race at a quarter number 4. Again, the truck can just get so tight, don't have any time to react to it. Again, nearly identical to what we saw happen to Colton Berkey earlier in the race, running top 10, catches the fence, and is not completely destroyed to the point where you got to bring it down pit road, but has enough damage to the fact that you're going to be off pace, you're going to be losing positions. Lap traffic going to be passed by our race leaders. 48 machine going to be going a lap down. That's Mark McFadden. He was the last truck on the lead lap. And that does mark the halfway point in this one. We're halfway home, so we'll give you a full field rundown presented by tonight's title sponsor, SH&D Trucking. For the SH&D Trucking 188 here, Nathan Sedlak, your current race leader. The beginning of the race was old Michael Churchma, but these two teammates here up at the front of this field have started to dominate, and since it has been Nathan Sedlak, defending series champion, those two trucks with Divertech on their Chevrolets, 1-2. It's Stevenson second, Dominic Dyball third, Borges is up the fourth, wants to join his teammates up at the front of the field. George Bark up the fifth, last week's winner. Dylan Acker at sixth, Michael Churchman seventh, Nick Doucette in the number 4 spot, Dustin Lee in 5th, Garrett Atwell in 10th, Scott Bailey sits 11th, Colton Berkey 12th, Mitchell Reeves in 13th position. Pretty good battle going on there with the O2 machine. David Winkle over his back bumper in 14th, Jeffrey Smith in the number 15 position, 24 of Everett Lane in 16th, Brandon Mulsey-Vey 17th, Chad Wilson is in 18th, Gordon Berkey now back to 19th, Eric Sharp is 20th, Joel Wood is going to be 21st, John Fansula 22nd, Scott Saunders right now 23rd, Jeremy Crandall, teammate to George Bark, 24th, Martin Porter 25th, James Brown 26th, James Wilkins 27th, Mark McFadden, last car off the lead lap, he's going to be 28th, Dale Adkins also one lap down, 29th, Wes Campbell down a lap in 30th, Patrick Stahiel is going to be the number 60 machine, one lap down in 31st. 3 laps out of it, Phil Gary, 32nd. Tim Johnson, 3 out of it as well, 33rd. And again, Marcus Babb was disqualified for his respective connection issues, some blinking going on there in the earlier portions of this race. And trying to break up the party is the 15 of Dominic Dyball, because he has gone from third and has just split up those two teammates. He'll go to P2, which drops Sedlak back to third. Sedlak teammate still up in the number 1 spot, being Don Stevenson, but the number 35 has been shuffled backwards. And I was going to say Ryan Borges was about to, again, make it a dominant showing for this team up front, but Bark is now past, or is attempting to pass. He's got half a truck right now on Ryan Borges. They go down into quarter number 3. George Bark is going to get clear, and Borges will pull back in line. So George Bark flying on this long run. He'll go up to P4. As a couple of other trucks trying to battle throughout the pack. Battle for P9, the 08 of Scott Bailey to the inside of the 51 machine of Nicholas Doucette. Bailey is going to be able to complete that pass and get that position. More passing going on for P22. A big pack of cars back here. The 01 machine, that's John Pansula side by side with the 86 machine of Eric Sharp. 79 is also side by side. That's Joel Wood on the inside of Gordon Berkey. Berkey's had a rough night after starting in 4th, sits right now in 19th position. This is a big pack of cars. The 49 is back here as well. Scott Saunders, that the Rue Motorsports team recently announcing Scott going to be driving full-time next year in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. So Scott, the number 49 Chevrolet, is behind Pansula and what is going to be P23 at the moment. And again, a lot of battling all throughout this pack, and it has to attribute back to the fixed set. And it'll be interesting to see what we'll see in 1 week's time. The next time CORA is going to be out here on LSR TV is going to be race 3, October the 26th. So 1 week's time, same place. It's going to be the RMT Trucking 150 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That's going to be back out here in these trucks. Last race of this first stint with the Silverados. And it's going to be an open set. So Daytona open set, plate track. This is our first 1.5. Our intermediate track going to be fixed. So we'll see the opposite end of the spectrum here, where these guys go out there on open sets. And I can imagine you'll see some guys maybe be a little bit more dominant because obviously the teams, the bigger teams with more drivers, going to be able to put more time into their setups, maybe a little bit stronger in the long run at Las Vegas. But again, with everybody here on the fixed set, I mean, it's an even playing field. There's nothing else you can say about it. Everybody out here with the same equipment, they're working with the same kind of stuff. And you've just got to wheel that truck. And Dyball, who is 2/10 back from Stevenson, Sedlak starting to fall off the ship here. He's 7/10 back in 3rd position. So, I mean, not much of a risk considering he still is the second to George Bark, Ryan Borges, who continue to battle it out for 4th on back. But Sedlak definitely starting to fall off the pace with Stevenson. No longer tucked up behind him, so doesn't have the little bit of advantage of the draft that he had earlier on in this race. But we're past halfway. Don Stevenson continues to lead. Going to take a quick moment to catch our breaths here at LSR TV. We're going to go to a quick commercial break and second half and possibly some green flag pit stops on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Back here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, CORA Sunday Monday Series, the Championship Online Racing Association continues to have a barn burner here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's a two-horse race at this point. Stevenson and Dieball up at the top two spots. Sedlak starting to slide backwards as we continue to work through what's going to be our longest green flag run of the night. George Bark going to come down pit road, first top five truck to be coming down for service. He'll bring the 42 Park Competition Karting Chevrolet down pit road, last week's winner, and is going to get these round of green flag stops kicked off. We've had a couple of trucks come in. Those were more towards the tail end of the lead lap, so I know the 19 machine of Garrett Atwell, he's come in. He's gotten a quick repair, one of maybe only one or two these guys are able to get in. What that means is they're able to essentially come down pit road and go into the stall, just like our two teammates up at the front of the field, Tom Stevenson, Nathan Sedlak, are doing. If they have damage, the sim will essentially give them a brand new one like it was at the start of the race, and you'll have no more damage. You get a limited amount of those, and that number is set by the league administration. So I believe it's somewhere in the range of two for these 1.5 mile speedways. So a couple of trucks have been able to use that to their advantage. So these guys are going to come down. Looks like going to be obviously four tires. You got to get them packed full of fuel for Stevenson and his teammate. And again, Stevenson was really able to remain in control of this race. A little bit more struggles for Nathan Sedlak. Sedlak started to slide back there. Sedlak gets a quick fix, so that gets the right rear damage fixed, and that will cycle Dominic Dieball to the top spot. Championship point. Check that off for leading a lap. We're here in the O2 machine. Mitchell Reeves going to be coming down pit road. He rides in what's going to be now the number 5 position as he starts to get on the binders. And we have seen a couple trucks in the past, not necessarily this race, but just on iRacing in general, have some trouble getting down to speed here. And I believe the O2 may have just sped right at those cones where you got to be down to the 45 mile an hour speed limit provided. Looks like he was at about 56, and you can get some leniency on that with iRacing, but not sure if Mitchell Reeves may have pushed the envelope on that too much. I'm going to keep my eye on him to see if he has to stay in his stall for any sort of additional period after his service is done. Left side's down, fuel in it. He is off with a quick fix, so possibly no penalty. Reeves would have gotten lucky, though, because he came in a little bit hot, locked them up, and nearly actually ended up in the grass there, which makes the front straightaway of this racetrack. And race leader Dominic Dieball now through 3 and 4. The front stretch here, a very interesting one, because you roll through at a quarter number 4. You want to call it a quad oval. It has those distinct dog legs, but there's a lot more room in them than there is at Charlotte. So almost a cross between the progressive left-hand bank of maybe a tri-oval and the quick short shoots there, those dog legs of a quad oval at a track like the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Obviously that racetrack having a little bit more banking than here. And on that note, going to talk some track facts about the Atlanta Motor Speedway. 1.5 mile lap here, 125 laps, so 188 miles is the distance here as Dominic Dieball comes down pit road from the top spot. A capacity crowd can fit in here 99,000 race fans at any given weekend. Owned and operated by SMI, the Speedway Motorsports Incorporated group. Broke ground that opened in 1958 and then 1960 for the opening. The banking here, 24 degrees, so essentially equal to that of Charlotte Motor Speedway. Doesn't really feel like it. This racetrack does have a lot of speed, to say the least. 5 degrees on the straights as well. And with Dieball down pit road, this is actually putting Michael Churchma back up to the top position right now. And again, I have to say the 88 truck has been struggling on the long run. Has been fast on the quick runs, was fastest in the practice session, was fastest in the qualifying session, led the opening laps, but once we got to that lap 25 mark, was overtaken by who at that point in the race that was riding second was Don Stevenson with Nathan Sedlak. They were able to take that spot from him about 25 laps into a tire run. Churchman going to give up the lead as he comes down pit road. So now Brandon Cruz-Monsive going to have it at the start-finish line. So Cruz is going to have that spot. Brandon Monsive going to have it at the start-finish line. He'll pick up a championship bonus point for being the race leader at the stripe that time by Everett Lane coming in from the number 3 spot, and he actually overshoots his stop. Joel Wood down on pit road also. John Pansula, Martin Porter, Jeremy Crandall, Hirschman as well. So the only truck yet to come down is Brandon Monsive. He's actually coming in this time by at a quarter number 4. slows it right down, did not want to take any sort of risks with getting down to pit road speed in time. So he will hit pit road, I believe. This will fully cycle through our cycle of green flag pit stops. Going to have to wait, obviously, about a lap here or two till that number 54 of Massavei is able to get back out there on track. Circle around. The scoring loops will be all updated for us as he sits down in his stall. But it looks like it would cycle Don Stevenson back out to the top position. He's working around some lap traffic up in front of him. Looked like the number 3 of James Wilkins will go from being 1 lap down to being 2 laps down, depending on what the interval are with those. But now that 54 truck rolls from pit road. Again, you cannot just hop right up into the bank. You don't want to stay full on that throttle there, get back up to speed. You got to kind of ride around that apron. You have to wait till the back straightaway to slowly blend back up safely into traffic. Can't just cut somebody off. So Massavei is able to pull back up now, try to get back up to speed. And it is going to be Don Stevenson in the top spot. But how about second on back? George Bark, the number 42 Chevrolet, after being non-existent in practice, 31st quick. Slowest out of every truck that put down a time, was able to get a 9th place qualifying effort. And right now has worked up to the number 2 position, has some lap traffic separating him from race leader Don Stevenson. 1 second exactly the last time by the start-finish line. George is able to pick up about 3/100ths, but he has the teammates, and it's a new face because Ryan Borges now working with Nathan Sedlak. Stevenson still leads, but teammates to Don is Ryan and Nathan in 3rd and 4th. And it has been Ryan Borges who's been late to the party, per se. Top 10 truck running solid, but not on par with what his teammates were. He's been picking off spots all race long. Now he finds himself in a top 3 spot, but right behind George Bark. I can guarantee you that George isn't going to want to give this one up easily. Sitting pretty nice in the championship standings. As him and, again, his teammate Jeremy Crandall 1-2 at Daytona. The last time we were out here, obviously, to get the season kicked off on LSR TV. So could Bark make it back-to-back? He's nearly knocked off a 10th in the last 2 laps, so you can't call it impossible for George Bark to try to mount a charge here and maybe go back-to-back trips to victory lane, or even if the race were to finish where he sits right now, back-to-back top 2 finishes would be nothing to shrug your shoulders over, as that would be definitely the way you want to come out of the box and be strong and make a statement. So we will have to see how all of this continues to play out. Is that going to be the final round of pit stops? That's another question that we have to ask. Ryan Borges, we'll use him as an example, was down on pit road on lap 82. And the last time he was on pit road before that, as I cycle back through the lap times, the archives and whatnot to be able to make sure I can get an accurate number on that, was under the caution flag lap 33. That's about 50 laps. So 88 to 25, that's about just over 40. So that should be doable on this fuel run. So this is what you get. This is what you have to work with. How about Dustin Lee as well? Shout out to the number 50 Chevrolet as he runs right now P5. As we hear the 12-ton Johnstone has to come down pit road once again from 2 laps down in 30 seconds. Last week's biggest mover not having a good time out here tonight. But Dustin Lee, maybe one of the underdog names here, one of the underrated names, I would say. Dustin Lee is definitely running strong right now. He's riding in P5, right behind Sedlak and right behind Borges. But he has All Pro Racing on his Chevrolet tonight, and keeping an eye on the chat. All Pro Racing cheering on the number 50 of Dustin Lee. So he's up at a top 5 spot right now. I'm sure he would like to continue to improve on that running position as they go around the racetrack right now. But they cannot quite get to Don Stevenson. And although they run single file, although they are trying to get maximum drafts, whatever draft they can get out of it here at this 1.5 mile speedway, they're still 9/10 plus back from Don. And you're going to lose more time. It's now over a second. And the fact that Don's out there in the clean air, maybe a little bit of dirty air around Park and all these guys, there's still a long way to go. And actually, about 2 laps ago, it was 30 laps remaining in this race. So it is far from over. But at the moment, it looks like it was Don Stevenson who was able to gamble maybe a little bit more and get the most out of those pit stops, and which has correlated to him having that 1.0 second lead, and this time by going to get another update on that, and it is Don Stevenson now on the attack. So right at a pit road, I thought George Bark was going to start flying up. He was knocking off about half a tenth a lap, and out is Don Stevenson, who is up on the loud pedal. The number 47 of Stevenson to nearly 1.1 seconds now up in front of the field as they run right now, and surprisingly single file for the moment, and obviously attributing to that is the green flag pit stops. We've pretty much been side by side all race long. Side by side for P7, Dylan Ackert to the inside on Nicholas Doucette, the number 51 of Doucette on the outside lane, trying to hang on to P7 after starting 14th, is unable to do so. So side Nicholas Doucette back into the number 8 spot, move Dylan Ackert up to 7th again. And we talked about the 29 machine of Ackert earlier in the race, started 21st, now sits 7th. So that's about a 14 position gain for him so far in the race. So not too bad as he tries to fight for what would be the biggest mover award throughout the night. Here, update on our lead lap trucks. We do have 23 trucks on the lead lap, and it is teammate to our runner-up driver right now. It is Jeremy Crandall, who is 23rd position, the number 73 Bart Competition Karting Chevrolet with the pink rims there and the Save the Tatas on that machine for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Crandall is 27 seconds back, right behind James Brown, and are only about 2 seconds in front of our leader, which means that they will lose their laps here in not too long, unless we were to have a caution flag flying. So he is 23rd. A group of cars that are 1 lap down is going to be positions 24th through 29th, and those trucks are going to be James Wilkins, Chad Wilson, Dale Adkins, Mark McFadden, Eric Sharp, Wes Campbell. Then you also have Scott Saunders 2 laps down, Gordon Berkey 2 laps down, 30th and 31st respectively. Phil Gary 32nd, 3 out of it, 4 out of it. Tim Johnstone again just had to come back down pit road in 33rd, but no trucks have gone behind the wall from an incident on track. Marcus Babb is out of the race in 34th position, 73 laps out of it. 34th is going to be his result. He was DQ'd from race officials for his connection issues, the blinking that he was showing in the opening stages and the earlier stages of this race. And now past the 100 lap mark, 25 laps to go in what really has been a very fast-paced, a very exciting race here with the CORA Sunday Money Series. And again, it's very easy. If anybody wants some information on CORA, you can go to cora-racing.com. You can find out, I believe it is a $6 entry fee, get into these heat races here that they run throughout the week. And if you're able to make the cutoff, you'll be racing next Sunday night. It's that easy, and you can walk away with a lot more than the $6 if you're able to walk away with a solid finishing position, depending on where you go. I know the top spot should take home about $30. 12th on up will get at least that $6 back that they made, and payouts all the way through 18th position. And again, a good chunk of change up for grabs here at the end of the season when it's all said and done. Again, individual vehicle points championship. So these first 3 races out here are in the Chevy Silverados. Again, next week going to be at Las Vegas in the Silverados. After that, we'll mix up. We'll have a short stint with a different vehicle because rolling out of Las Vegas, we're going to be coming up on the super late models. That will be at Richmond. Those will be at Iowa. Then some B-car racing, Michigan, Charlotte, Atlanta, IndyCars, Michigan, Watkins Glen, Daytona, then Gen 6 at Vegas Indy. So again, all of that information, the extended schedule, all 24 races, that information can be found at the CORA website, cora-racing.com for more information on that. And race leader Don Stevenson has side-by-side in front of him because I said Jeremy Crandall was right behind James Brown. James Brown real slow at a quarter number 4. He drops back. The 73 will now drop back as well. So Don Stevenson going to knock 2 more trucks off the lead lap, make Martin Porter the last truck on the lead lap. That's going to be for P21. And George Bart going the wrong direction. The 32 of Ryan Borges has gotten clear. And now the 50 of Dustin Lee wants to do the same. He's on the inside, side by side, trying to snag a P3 from George Bart. So now that it is Borges up in second, can Borges chase down his teammate in Don Stevenson and try to put up a fight for the win there? Because George Bart going the wrong direction, sliding up in front of George Bart as the 50 of Dustin Lee with not much room to spare. The 50 truck will slide right up in line and get clear. And 42 of George Bart follows him on that left rear quarter panel back down into 3. Letting him know what he thought about that one. But clean pass. George Bart not complaining about that. He'll drop back to what is going to be now P4. Again, it's this top 5, and we've been focusing on them, but not only from the green flag pit stops that they're able to pull away, but just the class of the field. Over 5 seconds back to the 6th place cars on back. Dominic Dieball, who was just up front, the number 15 Chevrolet, 6.2 seconds back from race leader Don Stevenson, who now has a 1.2 second gap. But hold the phone, because it was 1.3 one lap ago. Only issue for Ryan Borges is too wide of lap cars in front of him. Nowhere to go is Ryan Borges. He'll go to the inside on the 00 of James Brown. The next truck up in front of him, the 86 of Eric Sharp. That machine rides about 2 laps down as well. Borges is stuck behind him. Could the 50 machine capitalize? Yes, Dustin Lee to the inside. He used the 86 as a pick on Borges. Now Borges picks it back up 3 wide at a quarter number 4. Battle for second rages on at the stripe. Advantage to Ryan Borges on the outside lane as he tries to get the number 2 spot, but in that they lose 4 tenths that quickly to Don Stevens. Have an opportunity at trying to take home that checkered flag. Again, the possibility of late race caution is still out there. If a caution were to fly within, I believe it's going to be the last 4 laps of this race with no green-white checkers being the iRacing service, that would effectively end the race at that point, and the race would end under a yellow flag condition. So if you're Don Stevenson, you're hoping to get to that lap 121 mark at a 125, and at that point, if a caution were to fly, as long as it's not for you, you'll be able to, as long as you can get around under those pace laps, take your to victory lane. Still going at it side by side for a second, and again, it is a spirited battle. They're going at it. They want to advance their position, but they're only shooting themselves in the foot here. Dustin Lee is going to have second at the stripe, or rather third at the stripe, not quite clear of Ryan Borges at the moment. No, it is second. Dustin Lee for second, slides up in front of the 32 of Borges like he did. George Bark gets into the left rear, a wiggle, huge save. Ryan Borges able to hang on to that, and George Bark was just going to drop back in line, but what happened was the 32 checked up with a 50 machine, slided up in front of him, and what happened from that is the fact that George was no longer clear and caught Ryan in that left rear quarter panel. They're able to hang on to it, but that was definitely a close call between those 2 trucks. Everybody's able to hang on to it. Now Dustin Lee to the number 2 spot. He'll work some draft off of the lap truck of Jeremy Crandall. 2 seconds is the gap. 12 laps is the amount of time that is going to be allotted. Dustin Lee really needs to be flying if he wants any shot at this, but again, the chance, and don't want to jinx it, we'll knock on wood here, but a chance is always there with that late race caution flag flying to throw a big curveball into this race. No trucks in an immediate risk of losing their lead lap status as they run right now. Dustin Lee, the number 50 machine, in second. We'll get an update here as he goes down the back straightaway through 3 and 4. Now has been cleared of Jeremy Crandall. Crandall would be in a lucky dog position if we were to get a caution at the moment, as he sits 21st, 1 lap down. But we'll see how fast is Dustin Lee. We'll get it gauged at that at the start-finish line. The gap between 1 and 2 will go from 2.0 to 1.9. Not enough time if he's only picking up 3/100ths per lap. So looking pretty safe right now is Don Stevenson. Clear track in front of him, not lap traffic for about 2 turns. He's got a lot of wide open asphalt up in front of him. No immediate danger after being the 6th fastest in the practice session. He was 2nd fastest in qualifying, but has been about the dominant car since lap 30. As he continues to run in the number 1 position, and a couple of trucks we're hearing have some damage, may be faced with some minimum speed requirement issues. Nothing being handed out by race officials quite yet. We got a truck slow. Tim Johnstone, heavy damage on the number 12 Chevrolet, and he wrecked it at a quarter number 2. Was just so slow that the 24 of Everett Lane just straight ran him over out of the corner. Tim Johnstone into the inside wall, up on the side. No caution. Everett Lane will get damage from that. That's going to cycle Everett back to right in front of the 68 machine, which will have him about, I want to say, well, I'll wait till we get to the start-finish line, but I believe that's going to get him P20, and which would be for the last spot on the lead lap. So not the first time we've seen a close incident happen here tonight that does not really necessarily result in a caution replay going up right now. But again, the reason that was not a caution is because the main point of contact for Johnstone, the truck that got up on his side with the heavy contact, was down below the racing surface. So there was no caution automatically thrown by the race officials, which is good news for the 24 machine of Everett Lane, because unfortunately one of the hardest parts of being up in the race control tower is the fact that you have to make tough calls. And who you would place the blame on that? Would you say that Everett would have been able to check up, but no caution, so nobody going to have to be EOL'd in that one. We stay clean, we stay green, and it is still all Don Stevenson. Dustin Lee is the fastest car on the track right now, has closed it into 1.7 seconds, but he needs a caution. He has seen his window of opportunity begin to shut. If it does not fly at about the next lap and a half here, then that night is going to be done. Or he'll still get second, but obviously he'll want to be walking away with the trophy at the end of the night. And those hopes seem to fade as it is 6 to go at the start-finish line. Continuing to run faster. A couple more trucks making some contact here in the latter stages. Trying to cycle through here on my replay, see if I can get any information on that. But a couple of drivers discussing over the radio. Maybe a little bit of contact. Don't see any issues. I know the 49 of Saunders had queued up on the radio. He has some right side damage, but did not see any necessary immediate contact or contact within the last few laps between those trucks. So these guys are starting to get tired. They've been green for a long time. It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of, not only that, but also physical. I mean, it is a sim, but you got to be nailing that every time. Your arm's going to get sore. You don't really get a chance to take a break. And a couple of these guys starting to fall out here in the very latter stages. A lot of contact, a lot of guys bouncing off each other. But clean and green, and that's all that Don Stevenson cares about. It's down to 1.5 seconds between the top two, but again, it's not going to be enough time. 4 laps to go, and that is it. Dustin Lee's window of opportunity is closed. It's down to 1.3 seconds, but with 4 to go. The caution would effectively end this race, so Don Stevenson just needs to take it easy and survive. You can't go too slow, but it is a 1.3 second gap, which is a fair amount of time here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And unless it's not the 47 machine that is responsible for that yellow, then everything should be fine here. Stevenson now 3 laps to go as he starts lap number 123. Dustin Lee still 1.5 back, and it's not going to be enough time. We still got a battle going on. 7th place up inside the top 10, still up for grabs. Dylan Ackert and Nicholas Doucette going to be side by side for that spot through quarters number 1 and 2. Looks like the 51 machine on the inside is stuck behind, or he's going to go to the inside of lap traffic, the 00 of James Brown, so he's actually behind Dylan Ackert. Some more battling going on for 9th. Michael Churchman, or rather Garrett Atwell, Scott Bailey side by side for P10. Scott Bailey to the inside. He'll get the top 10 spot from Garrett Atwell in the number 19 machine at 2 to go. So Atwell sees a top 10 run slip away in the closing laps after starting 13th. He'll drop back into the number 11 spot, and not sure if Dustin Lee has just used up all those tires or if he's just given up, because it's down to 1.8 and white flag in the air. Final lap as Don Stevenson continues what has been a dominant second half of the race, a race that has only seen 1 caution flag, and stellar racing by these guys here at CORA for the first fixed race on this new 2014-2015 campaign here with LSR TV. And round 2 about set to go in the books, because for the final time through 3 and 4, Don Stevenson rolls at a quarter number 4. The CORA Sunday Money SH&D Trucking 188, Don Stevenson at the checkered flag. Dustin Lee will come home in 2nd, Borges 3rd, George Bark in 4th, Nathan Sedlak. Back-to-back top 5 finishes for our defending champion, but Stevenson gets it by a total of 2.0 seconds. 1 caution, and what has been one of the better races that I've seen here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. This racetrack very fast, very treacherous, and a great job by all these drivers to only have 1 caution fly, and a lot of great racing. So as Don Stevenson begins to wrap around to the front straightaway, he's got some burnouts to do. He's going to burn down those back tires on the front straightaway to celebrate his first trip to victory lane. We're going to step away, take our final commercial break. When we come back, and Del Quinter at the post-race show, we'll quickly talk to our top 3 finishers, get you set for the race in 1 week's time at Las Vegas. But post-race show coming up next on LSR TV. Welcome back to the Atlanta Motor Speedway, where the CORA Championship Online Racing Association Sunday Money Series has come to a close here on LSR TV. Race 2 of 24. The SH&D Trucking 188 from Atlanta is in the books, and we're now caught up with our top 3 finishers, going to be beginning with the number 3rd place finisher, the number 32 of Ryan Borges. Ryan, you're going to come home. It's going to be a 3rd place result for you and the team. Walk us through your race. Qualified in 10th position, and your teammates were up front for that first half, and you started to close in on them and was just unable to capitalize that long green flag run. We'll get you a top 3 finish, so a solid night overall for you.
Yeah, the race went well for our number 32 truck. I started off in 10th and slowly worked forward from the drop of the green flag. I don't think I ever fell back more than a spot or two, but the fixed set we got today, it was really competitive coming in, and we had a lot of side-by-side battles, and no one really could pull away from each other, and that was I'm sure that was exciting for the people watching, but it was really hard as a driver. It was difficult to go too wide, and you really lost some time with that, so I feel like if I had started a little further and we had a little more cautions, I probably could have contended with Don, but Don was really fast, so I don't know.
Well, 1 week ago at Daytona, you were able to walk away. It's going to be a 6th place result in that one. So tonight, moving up into the top 3, you have to like the way your season's obviously been kicked off.
Yeah, I've started with two decent finishes. I'm hoping to get that first win in CORA, but this was my first top 3, so that's a start. I'm just really happy to be on Storm and Vortex Motorsports for this season. I really think I can contend for the championship.
You were talking about that fixed set, and again, that's one of the stories that we were talking about. Daytona was open, tonight was fixed. We're going to head to another intermediate track in 1 week's time. That one's going to be at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That's going to be an open set. So what different challenges are you going to face? And obviously, you being on a team, going to be working with a setup. What's going to be different primarily between tonight's race and in 1 week's time with that open set?
Obviously, everyone's going to have different strengths and weaknesses in their setups, and I really think it's going to be a more open race, and obviously since it's an open setup, but guys are going to probably go faster than what they're going to go with the fixed setup. People are going to get setups tuned to their driving styles, so I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with that race.
We know you talked about your teammates, and before we let you walk away here, catch up with the other post-race festivities. Sponsors, shout-outs, who makes it happen for you in the 32 truck?
Yeah, like I said, I have to thank Storm Vortex Motorsports, DG Vertec, and North American Gaming Network, our sponsors for the season. They're paying our full entries for all season long, and we couldn't do without them.
All right, well, congrats on that first top 3, Ryan. You've definitely showed your strengths here in these first 2 races, and we'll keep an eye on you and that 32 team, and also the rest of your teammates up front here in these future races.
All right, thanks, Evan, and congrats to Don on the win.
And now I'm going to bring up the driver of the number 50 machine, Dustin Lee, going to come home in second. And Dustin, it was a late race charge. You were trying to be able to get around for that number 2 spot, and by the time you were able to, just ran out of time, not enough laps left on the board. Walk us through your race. You qualified in 7th, were solidly in kind of a similar race that you had that Ryan did, solidly picking up spots throughout the race, but with only 1 caution flag. How'd you execute to get that top 2?
I just pretty much just trying to bide my time and kind of saving my stuff. Wasn't really good on the short run there, but on the long run, it seemed like I could make some passes and move to the field.
Entering tonight in our fixed setup, and again, the first fixed setup race of the season. Obviously, everybody was on the same equipment. It looked like some trucks were maybe a little bit faster on the shorter runs. Some of them kind of fell back on the long runs. How did you feel the balance in your truck was? And maybe if we caught a late race caution, do you think you could have put up a fight there with Don for that checkered flag?
As far as the balance goes, the beginning of the run, my car just would not go. It just didn't have anything for anybody. I had to get freight trained, but yeah, I got some laps. I could move. I could go come up to the field, and yeah, the setup was. I liked it. It was real stable. It wasn't loose or anything like that. I enjoyed it.
Rolling forward 1 week's time, going to be going to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. How confident are you rolling into next week?
Las Vegas is actually one of my favorite tracks. I have to work on my setup a little bit there and get a little bit better. I think for these guys, 'cause obviously they're pretty fast.
All right, well, before we let you go, sponsors, shout-outs, who makes it happen for you and the team?
Yeah, thanks for All Pro for sponsoring me here, and Michelangelo's Painting, and you guys.
All right, well, congratulations on the top 2 finish, and hopefully we'll see you and the team up front here in future races. Good luck, Dustin.
10-4, thank you.
And now we're caught up in Gatorade Victory Lane. Driver number 47, Don Stevenson. Dom, you and your team dominated this race. Top 2 for the majority of it, and they kind of slid back there on the latter stages, but that 2-second gap, very strong in the long run, and you're able to put your Chevrolet in Victory Lane. How'd you get it done?
Well, the first things first, I gotta thank my sponsors here, DG Vertec. They're sponsoring me this season. I can't thank them enough for coming on board. And last season I was in the blue and white car. I can get used to running green and black if it's going to land me in Victory Lane here. And I also got to thank Nagon, North American Gaming Network here, for coming on board and sponsoring Storm Motorsports this season. It's a great season to come here, I think. But as far as the race, I mean, it was a great race. We had long green flag runs, which we were hoping for, but it was one of those things that, I mean, sometimes it just doesn't play out that way, especially with the fixed setups and everything. But today the field actually got spread out pretty good after about 10 or 15 laps, and we had a great pit crew there. Gave me an awesome pit stop there on the green flag stop there. I mean, I think it was like a 13.2 second stop, and they sure made up for the first one there. But I mean, I owe it all to them and my team, Storm Motorsports, all the guys there. It was just a great week.
And let's talk about your team here, because throughout this race, Ryan Borges, Nathan Sedlak, those 2 guys, part of your team, were up there with you as well. And all 3 of you had solid finishes last week. You're able to double up what I believe was a 7th place result at Daytona with a win here tonight. So I asked the same question to Ryan when we spoke to him earlier. You obviously have to like the way your season's getting kicked off with these solid runs.
Oh, definitely. I mean, last week, was more... For me, was more just I needed to finish in the top 12 to guarantee that I'd be in the field for tonight, because the way my personal schedule was this week, I wouldn't have been able to make any of the qualifiers. So last week I had to kind of play it a little bit more conservative than I really wanted to. But, like I said, teammates, Nathan Sedlak, the defending champ last season, and Ryan Borges, we just brought him on this season. It's 2 very fast cats and everything. I mean, they were strong last week, and they were right up there with me again tonight.
Big setup tonight at Atlanta, open set next week at Las Vegas. Your thoughts on that race?
I can't wait. The whole off season, me and my team, Storm Motorsports, all the guys, we put in an awful lot of work creating setups for all the tracks, all the cars, and I think we'll have a good little piece there next week. But we're going to still fine-tune it. It's going to take a lot of hard work again this week. I mean, even though it was a fixed set this race here, I must have put in like 500 or 600 laps of practice just trying to perfect that line and learning where you can gain those hundredths of a second that with an open set race you wouldn't worry so much about. But with a fixed set, and that everyone has the same thing you have, so you have to try to find every little advantage you can, and that was the biggest key tonight.
Well, you showed your dominance on the long run. You put her in Victory Lane. I know you mentioned a couple of names last time through. Sponsors, shout-outs, everybody who makes it happen for you and the team.
Well, again, I want to thank DG Vertec. I can get real used to this black and green here. If it's going to get me in Victory Lane here, I'll run this thing for as long as I live here. And then also North American Gaming Network coming on board. My wonderful wife here, she allows me to race whenever I want, and it takes away time from her and everything, but she is so supportive of me and everything I do, and my wonderful family, my parents, they're home watching this race, and I'm sure I made them happy and everything. So it was just a great night, and hopefully this will be the first of many this season.
Copy that. Well, once again, congratulations on the win, Don. Good luck for you and the rest of the team rolling forward.
Also, I want to thank CORA for everything they've done this season and seasons past and everything they've done. I mean, it took some guts making some of the changes that they've made this season, and I'll admit, like I wasn't that in favor of running fixed races, but I got to hand some. It was a very, very clean race, and I think there wasn't even a race this clean all of last season either. So, got to hand it to them. And LSR TV, thank you guys for broadcasting this race, and I can't wait to watch it tomorrow morning at work.
All right, Don, once again, congrats, and we'll be keeping an eye for you and your teammates definitely up front in 1 week's time.
Thank you, guys.
And that does it for the interviews of the top three. Gonna run you down through your full field running order presented by SH&D Trucking. The SH&D Trucking 188 comes to a close. Don Stevenson, Dustin Lee, Ryan Borges, the top three. We talked to them. George Bark is able to back up his trip to victory lane last week with a 4th place result tonight. Nathan Sedlak going to come home 5th. Dominique Dipal in 6th position. Dylan Ackert 7th. 8th, Nicholas Doucette. Michael Churchma in 9th, Scott Bailey 10th, Garrett Atwell in 11th, Mitchell Reeves 12th, Colton Berkey 13th, Jeffrey Smith 14th, Brandon Cruz Massave in 15th, David Wink 16th, 17th, Joel Wood 18th, John Pansula, Martin Porter in 19th, Everett Lane, last truck on the lead lap in P20. Trucks one lap down will include Jeremy Crandall in 21st, 22nd, James Brown, Chad Wilson 23rd, James Wilkins in 24th, and Dale Adkins 25th position. 2 lap down trucks going to be Mark McFadden 26th position, 27th Patrick Stahill, Eric Sharp 28th, and Scott Saunders 29th position. 30th actually going to go to Wes Campbell. Gordon Berkey has to slide back from what was a strong start. He'll get a 31st place result. 3 laps out of it, Phil Gary, and then Tim Johnstone, 33rd, 34th, Marcus Babb. Those are the only 2 trucks that didn't make it the entire distance here tonight. So that wraps things up here on LSR TV. So after a fun one and a wild one, only 1 caution, a lot of great clean racing is exactly what we wanted to see here for the first fixed set race on the season, and it goes to Don Stevenson. So on behalf of everybody here at CORA and at LSR TV, Laura Lawson down in the production holler, my name is Evan Pasoko. Thank you for tuning in. 1 week's time, going to be back on air. We'll see you in Las Vegas.